Hi everyone, it's Tom Santella, and today I am touring Bushwick, Brooklyn to teach you about this wonderful Brooklyn neighborhood while I show you the top places to visit and most popular places to eat and drink. If you like what is to come in this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. There is much more to come because I will be doing a community tour and a property tour for each Brooklyn neighborhood that there is. So now let's go check out Bushwick. I always like to start these videos with some historical background to provide information on how the area came to be how it is today. It is very cool how different parts of history and types of people are represented by a neighborhood. Going back in time to the mid-1800s, the first immigration wave to the Bushwick area were the Germans, after a few failed revolutions over in Europe. With a lot of Germans living in the Bushwick area at the time, many breweries opened up in Brooklyn until at one point there were a total of 45 breweries in Brooklyn in the 1890s, and I believe the Borough was the largest producer of beer in the country until Prohibition happened later on in the early 1900s. What else is really cool is that there is even a brewery row here in Brooklyn, based in Bushwick, where 14 of those breweries were located on that one street. Eventually, each of those breweries were shut down, and the last one to close in the 1970s was the William Ulmer's Brewery building on Bushwick Ave, where we are outside of today, and is the large building behind me. Here we are outside of KCBC, or Kings County Brewery Collective, which is the first brewery based out of Bushwick since 1976, when the Rheingold and Ulmer breweries shut down. This brewery is extremely popular and started when three friends met in a brewery course, with one actually being a microbiologist, and they decided to start this brewery all together back in 2007. At the same time breweries were getting popular, so was the industrialization of Bushwick, and there was a Long Island Railroad station that came right through this area. So that is why you see many manufacturing and older industrial buildings in Bushwick and East Williamsburg. After World War I, many Italians moved to Brooklyn and Bushwick, and after World War II, the area fell into despair as many industries moved out of the city and began to buying cheaper land elsewhere. Cheaper land and cheaper leases as the highway system was further developed in the 60s and 50s, and transportation and traveling became much easier. Bushwick turned into a decaying area at the same time that many Puerto Ricans were moving into the United States, and Bushwick especially. They had a labor surplus in Puerto Rico, so many of them came to find work in Bushwick today, and that is why the area has a large Latino population. So it went from largely German people in the 1800s to Italians after World War I, and then Puerto Ricans after World War II. So after industry left, people who lived in Bushwick were quite poor for some time, and the area was not doing that well. In this time, one of its residents and her husband spoke out against the drugs going around in Bushwick, and this woman was Maria Hernandez. Sadly, she lost her life when a drive-by shooting shot through her home windows and hit her 5 times, and the park was renamed after her in her honor in the 1980s. Originally called Bushwick Park in 1896, Maria Hernandez Park is a place where many residents enjoy spending time at, especially in the summer with family, friends, and neighbors, when it is not as cold and there's snow on the ground like there is today. Now here we are along the streets of the Bushwick Art Collective, a collection of beautiful murals and street art that cover the buildings in Bushwick. The story behind its inception isn't as pretty as the art. The Bushwick Art Collective was started in 2012-2013 by one of its locals, Joe Ficalora, whose father was murdered here for a chain that he was wearing and his wallet when Joe was 12. To change his perception of the place he once loved and grew up in, he began inviting artists to paint alongside the walls of Bushwick businesses, and ever since then, it has continued to grow into what it is today. Now, most businesses want these murals on their walls to fit in with the area and even attract people to check out their stores. The Bushwick Art Collective is truly one of a kind, and it is like a living art gallery since there are always new paintings and murals being done every time a new business enters the store or a building is redone. So you can always be surprised by a different piece of art every time you come check it out. Around the corner from the main center of the Bushwick Art Collective is Los Hermanos on Star Street. We are in the heart of Bushwick at a prime taco spot that all started as a tortilleria that made just fresh tortillas until they had the bright idea of also serving food and tacos as well in 2006. Funny enough, they did this without officially registering as a restaurant and were shut down by the health department until it was later reopened a few years later and has been serving delicious food ever since. Another good taco spot in the area would be Plaza Ortega. As Brooklyn has continued to become a more and more desirable place in the last 20 years, much development has seeped further south from Manhattan, and as Bushwick has become a more and more happening area, real estate developers began buying the cheaper land and property in the Bushwick area to flip and generate much higher returns, pushing the city for certain zoning amendments to allow them to build larger condo buildings and apartment complexes like the one you see behind me. Over the years, many older industrial and manufacturing buildings as well have been getting transformed into luxury and expensive inventory. Industrial buildings of the past are actively being converted into these types of apartments and retail for lease, and even artist studios and lofts. Some of the main areas are Wyckoff Avenue, Myrtle Avenue, Broadway, and of course, Bushwick Avenue. Bushwick Ave and Myrtle Ave are the two main thoroughways in Bushwick, with most of Myrtle Ave covered by an elevated railway, unfortunately keeping the real estate values somewhat depressed. On Wyckoff, you can find many of Bushwick's bars and restaurants. This is a very active street in Bushwick with a party-type atmosphere and always something going on. Here, you can find the House of Yes, a nightlife venue that throws incredible parties. Everyone is welcome, and they have very cool themed night parties where you can dress up as different time periods and whatever they have for that night specifically. The L train also runs down Wyckoff Avenue and connects much of Bushwick to Manhattan, where the typical commute is about 45 minutes depending on what station you leave from. Also on Wyckoff is Old Stanleys, a cash-only joint with old-school decor. It looks like a dive bar on the inside and has quite a large beer selection to choose from. Other bar choices are Dromedary, an urban tiki bar with delicious but expensive drinks that sometimes host karaoke, and the Cobra Club, where they host comedy and actually started out as a yoga studio that also served alcohol. There is also Bushwick Public House, which has a pool table to play a game over a couple of beers with friends. Back on Wyckoff Avenue, you can also find the famous Artichoke Pizza, which you can guess serves artichoke pizza with a almost artichoke dip as the sauce. I thought this was an interesting place to visit while in Bushwick because it is much different from the other pizza places we have stopped by in our other tours, and not every day do you hear about artichoke on pizza. Now, I don't think I would give it a try, but supposedly it is very popular and also very filling. If you want more normal pizza, Italian pizza, I would go to Tony's Pizzeria and Restaurant, which comes highly recommended as many Bushwick residents' favorite slice. Now we are walking around the Bushwick Market, which is a cool open market that is a combination of both a flea market and a thrift shop, with one seller that has a variety of items from clothes, plants, kitchenware, to cameras, household items, and even more. It's definitely worth checking out because you could find some cool items or some old antiques. For the last place on the tour, but in my opinion the most beautiful, we are in front of St. Barbara Church, a Roman Catholic church which was finished in 1910 and boasts gorgeous Spanish colonial architecture. Originally a church built for Bushwick's German population in the late 1800s, it now better serves the current Latino population with El Puente Leadership Center right next door around the corner. So, I hope you guys enjoyed all the places we stopped along our tour today and learned a lot about Bushwick in the process. If you did like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the channel. There's much more to come. Again, my name is Tom Santella, and I'm a Brooklyn realtor, helping people buy and sell properties all throughout Brooklyn. So if you need any help, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. If you have any questions about Bushwick or any area in Brooklyn, please do not hesitate to reach out. Until next time, thank you for watching.